hit like and subscribe. You're watching the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel.
Peace, family. It's your brother, Marc Lamont Hill. Welcome to Night School. Every night here on the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel, we hold Night School, where I break down the most controversial subjects, the most urgent debates, the most pressing subjects going on in the world today. And tonight is no different. We got a great show for y'all tonight, and I'm very, very excited, very excited to talk to you all. So thank you, as always, for supporting the channel. We have a great fourth quarter here going. Viewers are watching every day. The shows, I think, are getting better. We're having great conversation. I'm so excited to be a part of everything going on out here in these YouTube streets. Thank you all for supporting it. The channel's been up for over a year now. Night School is over 6 months old, maybe 8 months old. I don't have to check the math, but whatever it is, we're doing great, and I'm very proud of what's going on. So thank you all for holding us down. I was saying this is going to be such a great week. So much going on everywhere. It's been a long day for me. I said I was going to do a normal show. Then I said, maybe I'll go extra long. Then I said, well, maybe I'll cut it short. I don't know what we're going to end up doing tonight, especially now. Last night I said we're going to keep it short and it went 1 hour and 40 minutes. And I paid for it today. I loved it. We had so much great conversation yesterday. And then I did the JBP, Joe Budden podcast today. And we had another great episode there. Make sure you check me out on the Joe Budden podcast. If you're on the Patreon, it'll come out tonight at 11. If not, you'll see it tomorrow. But it was an incredible 3 or 4 hours of dialogue. The crew is dope. Everything is dope. I gotta say, I'm excited and proud to be part of that. Also, I am headed tomorrow to Washington, D.C. to do Al Jazeera. I host Upfront on Al Jazeera. It's going to be wonderful this week. I don't want to tell you to guess this because things happen, but we got two great guests tomorrow. We're going to be talking about climate justice, environmental activism, settler colonialism, all the stuff. So just thank you for that. And we got a great show tonight that I want to talk to you about right here on Night School. But before I get started with the show, let me tell you something. I want you to like this video. I want everybody here in the Night School classroom to hit the like button. Comment also with your name. Tell us who you are, where you're watching from, what city, what state, or what country, depending on where you are, and let your classmates know. And also share this video with a friend. Share it with a group chat. Share it with social media communities. Share it wherever you want, because we want to invite as many people as possible into tonight's global classroom. Now, if you want to leave comments, you have to subscribe. Again, hit the subscribe button and leave as many comments as you want. But remember, we got moderators in here, and we're going to make sure y'all act right. That means that you can disagree, you can criticize, you can critique, you can even clown. But whatever you do, you have to do it without hate speech. So the moderators are watching. If you make a mistake, you slip up, you get a warning. Second time, you get muted. That means you can't leave a comment. Third time, you get up out of here. Now, we don't want that to happen. So just as my producer Princess says, just try to keep it cute. Anyway, y'all, we got a good show tonight. We got dozens of Israeli soldiers who confess to the atrocities in Gaza. And they did it in front of the whole world. We also have Kendrick Lamar, who announces his GNX tour. And he's taking some folk with him. One person in particular, y'all know it's SZA. Is going to be great. But what does this mean for some of the rest of us? And of course, Donald Trump is threatening all-out war, and he vows that there will be hell to pay if his demands are not met. So I'll tell you what Donald Trump wants. Spoiler alert, it's crazy. Anyway, let's get to the top of the show, because we begin in Israel. While Israel and the United States continue to use self-defense as an excuse to allow Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli government to commit crimes against humanity in Gaza and now Lebanon, Al Jazeera, my employer, full disclosure, has published confessions from members of the IDF. The soldiers were so proud. They were literally proud of their actions, so proud, in fact, that they recorded the atrocities themselves and then posted their work on social media. Have you ever heard of something like that? They literally snitched on themselves, put it on the internet, and acted like this is okay. This is where we are. You know what? I would rather not describe it to you. I'd rather you just see it for yourself because, again, it is crazy. Take a look.
We will fight until we break their backbone.
אין חשמל, אין מזון, אין מים, אין דלק.
The United States stands with Israel.
We will always be there by your side.
I interviewed a lot of kids. Some of them told me that they just want to die, but they don't want to. They want to die in one piece. They're scared of being shredded.
Inside of Gaza, this is what I said. Stuff to the brim, look at that.
Regarde, je vais montrer son dos, tu vas rigoler, regarde. Ils l'ont torturé. On va faire parler.
Torture is one of the most serious international crimes. Very often, though, it's difficult to get evidence. This kind of material, where you have persons on camera admitting that they have participated in torture, would be very useful to any investigator or a prosecutor.
First of all, shout out to Al Jazeera once again for this investigative work. Too often, this type of work doesn't happen. But Al Jazeera has been fearless, despite the fact that they have been under attack from the Israeli government for forever, but certainly in the last 12 months. It makes you understand a little bit better why Al Jazeera offices are being closed in Israel and in East Jerusalem or West Jerusalem. It makes you a little bit more clear-headed about why they're under such attack, why we're under such attack. Again, I am an employee of Al Jazeera. Watch Upfront on Fridays right here. And this is a kind of testament to how brazen the Israeli government has become. And the soldiers are often like this. I mean, I've spent a decent amount of time around Israeli soldiers when I'm in Palestine, you know, being as it's under occupation. And I'm never unsurprised by how aggressive, but also how condescending, how mean-spirited, how disrespectful they can be to Palestinian people. I also understand that it's a conscripted army, and many of the IDF soldiers, or let's not call them IDF soldiers, the Israeli army soldiers or the Israeli soldiers. IDF is problematic for many reasons, not the least of which is every other country in the world has an army, a military. The IDF calls up the Israeli Defense Force as if they're only there for defensive purposes, as if their job is to simply respond to attacks. It frames Israel as exceptional, as opposed to being like every other nation state that has a military, that has an army, that has an offensive function. And so I prefer to call it the IOF, the Israeli Occupation Forces, or just the Israeli Army or the Israeli military. I think that's totally fine. But IDF for me is a bit rich, particularly after 7 years of, after 14 months of genocide. So we could say all of that. But all that to say, the soldiers are young, and young soldiers do stupid things all over the world. But the problem here is that they're committing war crimes. They are committing crimes against humanity. They are upholding an illegal occupation, and they are doing so while making fun of the people they're harming. Not every soldier, but enough of them. And when you look at this Al Jazeera investigation, and again, I'm glad that we've done this, it becomes so clear that this is not a defensive war. It's so clear that they're not operating in self-defense. I mean, right now, there are more than 44,000 indisputable documented deaths in Gaza since October 7, 2023. 70% of them are women and children. Now, they say they're going after Hamas. There's only 20,000 Hamas members. They've already killed 44,000 people, and they haven't killed that many Hamas members. But we understand that it's not because they're sloppy. It's not because Hamas buries itself in the civilian population and all these other lies or misrepresentations or exaggerations. What it is that this has never been about Hamas. It has never been about self-defense. This has been about prosecuting a genocide in Gaza that will lead to the ethnic cleansing and the removal, the transfer, the erasure, whatever you want to call it, of the Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip and ultimately throughout historic Palestine. That's all this is. So once more, shout out to Al Jazeera. Thank you for this investigation. We're going to continue to watch, and we're going to continue to pay careful attention to what's going on. So thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, y'all, let's move on to another story because I am old and tired. This one is a domestic story. Here in the United States, we got to deal with Donald Trump as he gets closer and closer to Inauguration Day. President-elect Donald Trump is threatening an all-out war in the Middle East if Hamas doesn't release the remaining hostages prior to him taking office. On his own social media site, now I don't know if Donald Trump is going to be able to continue to even have his own social media site as president. I feel like there's probably a rule against that, but I don't know, because what other president would be in that situation? But he released something to his page, what's it called, Truth Social. He released something on Truth Social that I think is interesting. He said, everybody is talking about the hostages who are being held so violently, inhumanely, and against the will of the entire world in the Middle East. But let's talk. But it's all talk and no action. Please let this truth serve to represent that if the hostages are not released prior to January 20th, 2025, the date that I proudly assume office as president of the United States, there will be, in caps, all hell to pay in the Middle East. And for those in charge who perpetrated these atrocities against humanity, those responsible will be hit harder than anybody has been hit in the long and storied history of the United States of America. In all caps again, release the hostages now. This is an interesting message, a scary message for multiple reasons. Anyway, my spokesperson and member of the political bureau, Bassem Naim, responded to Donald Trump's threat, saying it was Netanyahu who is now and always, he's been the one blocking progress in the Middle East. He's the one that's been stopping progress toward a deal. Naim specifically said, since the beginning of this genocide, Hamas has publicly announced and been active in seeking a permanent ceasefire to end the Israeli aggression against our people. a deal which would have included a full prisoner exchange. We are looking forward to the day, he added, in which we see an end to this genocide against our people, their free return back to their homes all over the Gaza Strip, and the prisoners from both sides freed and enjoying living amongst their families again. Our people are eager to secure a better future for their children, full of hope, dignity, and prosperity. So Hamas is saying, look, we've been trying to negotiate, and every negotiation we made included a prisoner swap. And he's right. When Qatar and Egypt and the United States and other countries tried to broker deals, it was always inclusive of a prisoner swap. Sometimes they were phased swaps, where you let the prisoners go, you let the women prisoners go, then the male prisoners, and there've been multiple plans made, and guess what? Netanyahu has rejected all of them. So this is not about these threats that Donald Trump is stating. That Donald Trump's statements presume they operate from the assumption that the reason Israeli hostages are not home is because of Hamas. It's not true. It's because of Israel. And every time one of these hostages dies, it's a tragedy. It's an absolute tragedy. And when they die under the watch or the care or the supervision rather of Hamas, it's easy to say, well, Hamas killed them. No, oftentimes they're dying from the Israeli bombings. Again, people have been bombed all over Gaza. And Hamas is very aware of this. And when hostages are dying, when people who are kidnapped are taken from the earth, it ain't because Hamas is killing them. It's a lot of times because Israel is being indiscriminate. It's being reckless. Whoa, almost died. Tragic death. If I ever die choking on an energy drink, please tell them I was poisoned by like the CIA or something. Make up a good story. Don't let them like me just like die. That'd be wild. I feel like such a loser. Anyway, the other thing here, and there's a couple of things, is that Donald Trump says that if the hostages aren't back, he's going to hit harder than anybody's been hit in the long and storied history of the United States of America. If he's saying this will be the worst atrocity America's ever committed, I mean, what do you say about Hiroshima and Nagasaki? I mean, I'm just thinking about for Donald Trump's threat to be fulfilled, you got to do some pretty awful shit, because the United States has been behind some pretty awful shit. But the idea here, again, of framing this as Israel's the victim and the Palestinians are the aggressors is just such BS. It's so dishonest. It's so misrepresentative of what's happening. Now, where Donald Trump and I agree is I do believe the hostages should be freed. I don't believe in kidnapping non-combatants. I don't believe in kidnapping civilians. I don't believe in kidnapping unarmed people. I just don't. So I begin from that place. I'm okay with that, but we have to understand those hostages can be released any day. But Israel has to do what it's supposed to do, which is withdraw. It has to do what it's supposed to do. Ceasefire. It has to do what it's supposed to do. Stop blocking humanitarian aid. So if you want to really make this a thing, it's not on the Palestinians. It's not on Hamas even. Let's get everybody to the table to get a ceasefire right now. Because every day that we don't get a ceasefire, hundreds of people are dying. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating even a little bit. All right. Let's get to another story that I think is very, very interesting, because it's right back with your boy, Donald Trump. All right. Hearing how unhinged Donald Trump is, the person who ends up running the Pentagon for him is extremely, extremely critical. Maybe more than any other moment in history. Well, embattled nominee for Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth doesn't fit the bill. Hegseth met with about a dozen senators behind closed doors, and they talked and talked and talked. And what did they learn? Not much at all. They said they didn't discuss the latest allegations surrounding Hegseth, nor did they take or talk to his wife, who was also there. They came out in full support of Donald Trump's pick. They said he has vision for military reform. They said the right things, but it didn't feel like it was real. Of course, this all comes on the heels of Hegseth facing fresh scrutiny over new reports of financial misconduct and sexual misconduct. But those seem to be the people Donald Trump starts gravitating toward. His own mother wrote an email in 2018 chastising him for his abuse of women. But mom's word doesn't mean much to some people. Doesn't mean much to Ted Cruz or Rick Scott, Mike Lee, any of these senators who are backing him all the way. Now, that doesn't mean this process is over. It's not a done deal. It'll only take 4 Republican senators to kill the nomination. Just 4. Just 4. And my sources are telling me that people are not optimistic that his nomination won't end up failing. There are 6 Republican senators who don't feel comfortable supporting his bid for defense secretary. That number could go up, it could go down. It all comes down to how much pressure Donald Trump applies. We already saw Gates gone. I think it's time for Hegseth to go right now. And it's also been reported in the last hour or so that his DEA director is also going to be gone. So there are just so many people bouncing, so many people bailing, so many people who don't make the cut. And it's amazing to see it happen under Trump, because he's the guy who says, I hire all the best people. And within a few months, he had a whole new cabinet, it felt like. How long did Rex Tillerson last as Secretary of State? But at the end of the day, this isn't just about making Donald Trump look bad or look like a bad boss or a bad evaluator of talent. That's whatever. It's the fact that there are going to be people running this government who are as selfish, greedy, and dishonest as any other politicians, Democrat or Republican. But they're also kind of creepy. They're also kind of stupid. They're also extra compromised. All politicians are compromised on some level. So yeah, we should be happy that some of these people ain't gonna make it through, but the overwhelming majority of Trump's picks are going to make it to confirmation. They're going to be confirmed, and whew, we're going a rough way to go the next few years, y'all. Anyway, let's move on to yet another story. This is the one I told y'all about earlier on in the show. It is about California. Let me check these comments, man, because every time now I see a stack of comments, I'm starting to think, man, okay. I was making sure. Anyway, a California lawmaker is taking preemptive action to protect progressive policies. This, of course, being ahead of Donald Trump's second term. The incoming administration has made no secret about its plans to dismantle the Department of Education, to erase diversity, equity, and inclusion programs everywhere. Now, let's not forget, the Supreme Court also banned affirmative action on college admissions. So we're talking about just a radical reorganization of the landscape. And so Monday, Democratic Assembly member from Los Angeles introduced a bill to allow admissions priority to descendants of slavery at the University of California and Cal State. Those are the 2 largest public universities in the country. And the bill would allow, doesn't mandate it, doesn't order it, but it would allow preferential treatment for descendants of slaves. The proposal is part of statewide reparations efforts, which has received mixed results from legislators and even the governor himself. So it's not clear if this bill is going to be any different. But what I think you want to pay attention to here is the lineage claim. You can't give somebody a job or a spot at Harvard Law School because they're Black, for example. But saying that you're going to deal with have some provisions for people who are historically disenfranchised or marginalized. Now you can get more specific and say, I'm a descendant of people who were enslaved in this country, in this state, maybe at this university. That's another conversation. But what we know for sure, what we know for darn sure, is that these new reparations bills are testing new ground, saying, hey, if you're a descendant of American slavery, you're starting off, a step back from where everyone else is, at least. Now we get into some real stuff here, because now it's not about skin color, where I could be from this place, I could be from that place. It's about lineage. And I have a direct line to enslaved Africans here in the United States. That's what I'm talking about. I don't know how effective it's going to be. We saw reparations bills fail in California. We also saw some promising advances in California. So I am not a Californian. The jury's still open to me, but I am as encouraged about public policy related to reparations as I've ever been, or as I've been in a very long time, I should say. All right, y'all. Let's move on to one more story. You know I had to do it. I'm so tired, y'all, but I'm going to do this just for y'all because I love y'all. Kendrick Lamar, the man of the hour, the man of the year, is in the news again. As Drake takes his beef to court, y'all remember he's threatening to sue Universal Music Group. Kendrick Lamar has hit the road after dropping that new album, GNX, which again, I think is a great album. He surprised fans by announcing that he's going on the Grand National Tour, that's what it's called, with SZA. The tour kicks off in April in Minneapolis, then it goes to Houston, it stops in Los Angeles, Atlanta, Philly, DC, and New York, and of course, East Rutherford, New Jersey. That's 19 stops in all. I left a few out, but 19 stops in all. That's a big deal. It's also important to understand that Kendrick Lamar is not just doing a tour. He's not just doing a road show. Kendrick Lamar is doing a stadium tour. Doing a stadium tour is a huge deal. There's only about a handful of rappers who can do a stadium tour. You can do arenas. You can go to the Wells Fargo Center and go to the Staples Center, whatever they call it now. You can go to these places and fill up 20, 30,000. That's no small thing. But when you start talking about stadiums, we're talking about 60,000, 70,000. I'm talking about what Beyonce does. That's a big deal. I'm not sure Drake could do it. I don't think Nicki Minaj could do it. I'm not sure Jay-Z could do it at this point. But Kendrick can do it. This is huge. And the fact that he's doing it with SZA is dope. It's dope for a couple of reasons. One, there's a lot of SZA fans out there. So there's a whole group of people who say, yeah, I bang with this, but I need SZA too, right? So it only widens the net of people you ensnare, the people you get to come check out this amazing show, what I expect to be. It's also interesting to SZA because of her relationship to Drake. It's like everybody, and I'm not criticizing SZA, shout out to SZA, we love you, but like everybody's selling on Drake. Everybody is, they're bailing, man. They off the ship. And I can't say I blame him. Drake's behavior the last month has made him seem like somebody people don't really want to rock with. So I get it. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what people are saying, and I can see why I would feel that way. So the SZA thing is interesting because it feels like it's another dig at Drake. The stadium tour thing is wild. And of course, one of the stops is the 6. One of the stops is Toronto. Now, we've seen messiness happen when people who rock with Kendrick come to Toronto. Schoolboy Q, other people were not treated properly when they got there. Shout out to them too. They're amazing people. Love that new album. So how can I put it? It wouldn't shock me if Drake, being the pettiest human being in the world, doesn't do something to undermine the show or to draw negative attention or whatever. It wouldn't shock me either way. I'll just say that. But the fact that there's a show in Toronto is very telling, since so many other TDE shows and other kinds of shows didn't get greenlit there, even after people got their bread and stuff. So that's interesting to me. The fact that Kendrick is doing stadium tours as a rap artist is fascinating to me, and it's a proud moment for hip hop in my estimation. So I think that's dope, and I'm glad. It's called the GNX Tour. A lot of y'all said there's not another album coming out. I was one of those people who was like, I don't know. I'm not sure, isn't. But it's called the Grand National. It just seems to me that the tour is named after the album, and so it would be difficult to have another album in between. So I think what you see here is what we all sort of suspected. That Kendrick is being elevated to another planet. He's put on amazing music to back it up, and Dre is being, while Kendrick is doing the amazing shit, Drake is being ushered out. His moment is over. He's the only one who don't know it yet. So we'll see. Anyway, family, your boy is tired. I'll see y'all tomorrow with a much longer show, but I want to thank you all for watching Night School tonight. I want to thank you all for dropping in the notes, telling me that we can't hear. I want to shout out Todd TJ Taylor for gifting 5 memberships. Make sure you grab one of those memberships. And also, family, it's the top of the month. Not to get all bone thugs with it, but it's the first of the month. Not literally, y'all don't have to, well, actually, I know it's the 3rd. But it's the first of the month, it's top of the month, and the channel could use your support. Please hit the like button and subscribe button. That's free, that's easy. But also consider hitting the join button and becoming a monthly paid member of the channel. No amount that we offer is too small, no amount is too big. I appreciate any support I can get. We appreciate any support that we can get. Also, family, if you can't make a monthly commitment, come on now to make a one-time commitment. Go to Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle. Make a one-time payment. Think about it as tuition for the month. You can drop $1, that's fine. You can drop $1 million, that'd be even more fine. You can drop anything in the middle. But the key, we hope, is that everybody gives something. And if everybody watching tonight were to give $10, just $10, we'd meet our financial goals for the month. So if you want to support the channel, go to Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle, drop $10 in. And we'll be grateful, we'll be most appreciative, and hopefully we can hang out again tomorrow night, family. I love y'all, appreciate y'all, and I will see you tomorrow on Night School. Peace.